is.
Are we on?
Yeah, we're on.
Well, a warm welcome to the second Easy Odds Cheltenham Festival videocast as we come to the end of January. You might see online another videocast where we preview the 4 championship races, the Champion Hurdle, the Queen of the Champion Chase, the World Hurdle, and of course the Cheltenham Gold Cup as well. Don't forget, of course, about the new Cheltenham Easy Odds app, which is available now for you to take wherever you want to in the country, around the world. Invaluable source of information, tips, and of course best prices on offer. Everything you need for the greatest national hunt festival in the world. Who have we got with us today? To my far left, the one and only Mr. Andrew Newton. He is Mr. Trends, whatever it is to do with horse racing, food, clothes or property. He is the trends man for you to be aware of. And sitting next to me is the new kid on the block, the youngster who has got mighty balls. His name is Jake Johns. You might have seen him on Twitter. He's all over the shop. And when he says he fancies something, it sticks like super glue. Good to have you with us. We'd love your feedback, of course, if you want to contact us here at easyodds.com. For the purposes of this videocast, we're going to look at the novice races, both over hurdles and over fences. We'll have a look at the Ryanair chase as well, which is muzzy, is it? You can't really see the woods for the trees on as far as that race is concerned. And also we're going to have a look at the 4-timer again, which the bookmakers are pushing out for the first day. Willie Mullins 4-timer, which of course Annie Power ruined last year. And each of the boys will give their nap of the festival, and indeed some very interesting naughty outsiders as well that they fancy as well. Andy, let's start off with the novice hurdles, and everybody's been talking about this horse called Min, who used to race in France. He's 2 from 2 over hurdles, but he's beaten absolutely nothing, and yet he's 11-8 for the Supreme Novices Hurdle. Yeah,
it's another one of these Mullins hot pots. You know, it's going to see if we can get the meeting off to you know, the perfect start if you're a punter. You know, there's going to be plenty of offers flying around, isn't there? Paddy Power like to do one in this curtain raiser of a race. Gives them enough time to get their money back as well, doesn't it? But yeah, I mean, you know, yes, it's questionable what he's been so far. Obviously, another one of these French recruits. You know, all wins have been in soft so far, haven't they? You know, quick times. You know, some very decent sort of speed figure gurus out there are actually saying that he wouldn't be out of place in the Champion Hurdle this year as well. So, you know, that tells its own story as well. Not a lot sort of else in the race really after this one. But, you know, if you are willing to take him in on at around 11-8, I think he is, then, you know, you will get some value further down there. But it's just trying to sort of find something out, you know, against the likely favourite. You know, Altior is a possible one. Henderson's got a great record in the race. 10 top 4 finishes in the last 9 years. So that might be one angle, course form as well. But, you know, everything points to the favourite really, doesn't it? You know, if this wins, you know, the bookmakers will be remembering last year and seeing the Mullins 4-timer is, you know, officially on, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Okay, are you a paid member of the Min dynasty? That's without the G. Did you see the link there? See what I did there?
Very nice.
Are you?
Very nice.
Have you been impressed?
I've been very, very impressed. I think he's an unbelievable jumper. I think the speed he goes over the hurdles, his technique is perfect. He's a bit free going, but I think there's obviously going to be a strong pace in Supreme, so it shouldn't hinder him too much. I actually like the horse Gertine that he beat in his first debut over hurdles in Ireland. He went on to win a nice national and flat race next time. He beat him by 14 lengths, so well, that just says he's obviously a pretty impressive horse himself. He's side by the same horse as Duvan. I think that's why everyone got into him in the first place, and obviously the vibes and stuff as well. But I think they might go up. I think maybe you might be able to get a bit of 2-1 on the day. I think they're going to really. They're going to really try and get you in, to like they always do, like you said, they always have these crazy offers like 5 places, 4 places or whatever. So I think they might push them out to 2-1 or 15-8. So I think definitely wait until the day, but because 11-8 is too short at the moment. One at a bigger price for the race, I still am sticking with Modus.
Modus, you said that many months ago.
Yeah.
When you saw him win on his debut.
Yeah.
And he subsequently flunked at Taunton, but the ground was desperate that day.
Yeah. I think the ground was far too soft. He was giving £10 away. It was when Paul Nicholls was in a really bad period, right in the middle. He ran really well in the Champion Bumper last year. I mean, he missed the start, same as eventual winner Moon Racer. But he stayed on really well that race. Loves coming up the hill. Hopefully it'll be better ground in the spring. So I think 25-1 pretty big price. I think they overreacted a bit of that on that Taunton run.
And the big thing in horse racing as a whole, if you've been with us on Easy Odds for a couple of months, couple of years, or since we first started at the back end of the last century, remember the cliche. And it's one of the truest cliches in betting, as these two boys will know. You can always forgive a horse one, even two bad runs, because they're not machines. And that's the way that you do manage to pick up a bit of VFM, a bit of value for money. Boys, let's wrap up together the Neptune and the Albert Bartlett, because many horses are going to be doubly entered in both events. JJ, what have you got particular fancy in either of these?
Yeah, like you said, there's quite a lot of horses that could be going for the Supreme or the Neptune or the Albert Bartlett. I mean, especially the Neptune, I think most of the top 6 in the market could be going in other races, so it's difficult to get a gauge on it right now, but I really like Bartlett's Hill as a horse. I think it's probably the most exciting English-trained hurdler, which isn't saying much, but I mean, he's been mightily impressive so far. I mean, he's looked a bit novice-y over hurdles. Sometimes he hits a bit of a flat spot, but his class always brings him through, and his acceleration, his change of gears is incredible. It's absolutely amazing. Okay. Especially in his race last time, he absolutely bolted clear after the last. I think when the jockey asked him, he just absolutely flies away. So if he gets good ground, Ben Pauling said he's going to put him in the Albert Bartlett. If he gets soft ground, he's going to put him in the Neptune. Obviously, it's more likely to be good ground, so I think he'll probably be more likely to go for the Albert Bartlett, and he's around 5 to 1 at the moment, joint favourite.
Andy, anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same sort of story, really. I mean, we're around 7-8 weeks away. It's difficult to say. I mean, you know, thing to bear in mind at the moment is, you know, some of the bookmakers are going non-runner, no bet, but I think most of them are just doing that in the championship races. Yes. So, you know, just tread a little bit carefully with, you know, races like this, the Neptune, the Albert Bartlett, because, you know, there are horses entered in both at the moment. We don't quite know which road they're going to go down, but yeah, Bartlett's Hill has been, you know, mightily impressive. I suppose at the price, is it value at 5 to 1? Probably, I'd probably want a tiny bit bigger for me. Just there's a couple of factors. You know, we've got the never raced at Cheltenham. You know, so we still don't know if it's going to handle the track. It looks like it will. There's no reason to suggest it won't. You know, the way it runs and stuff, but. You know, as we all know, Cheltenham course and distance form around the festival is massive.
Absolutely.
You've got we'll wait and see what happens with the ground. You know, Ben Pauling, up and coming trainer. You know, I like him a lot, and it'd be a great win for one of the English-based up and coming hurdlers. So, you know, I do like him, but I'm just going to wait a couple more weeks really, just to see if we can sort of gauge a bit more on where the horses are going to go.
Okay, before we leave the Novice Hurdlers, I'm going to throw a spanner into the works, because I think Bell's Hill will probably run in the Supreme as opposed to the Neptune. I don't understand why the bookmakers are betting the way they do. Willie Mullins is very, very cute in some of his quotes. He sort of, you have to read between the lines almost to guess, with all his runners in the festival, where they're going to run. But he's said on a number of occasions Bell's Hill has the highest cruising speed of any novice in his yard. It just lends me to think, even though Min's in the Supreme, that he might run Bell's Hill in the Supreme. And of course in the Neptune, I think the Neptune's probably got more strength and depth than the Albert Bartlett with York Hill and Disco, and probably Yarmouth might go for the longer race rather than the Supreme. If he actually runs at Cheltenham at all, we don't know. But all are fascinating races, as the boys have said. Let's move on to the Novice Chases. Boys, can we start with the RSA as opposed to the ARC, because the ARC is a closed door for many people.
Yeah.
The RSA Chase, we know now that more of that. He's not going to run the Gold Cup. He's not been entered in the Gold Cup. Mm-hmm. We know he's run twice and won twice at Cheltenham before. Yeah. Is this an Ireland versus England thing? Is this pure? Or is this too shallow of me to think that way? Is it more of that versus No More Heroes? And if it is, which one do you prefer?
I think it is more of that versus No More Heroes. Yeah. No More Heroes has obviously been really impressive in Ireland this year. Hasn't really beaten that much. Slightly worried about the going at Cheltenham if it's good ground, but he's been massively impressive so far this year. But I like more of that, I think. I mean, he hasn't been much either, but he's obviously won at Cheltenham this year already. Mm-hmm. He's jumping pretty well. He beat Annie Power on merit in the World Hurdle. I mean, they went head to head, and Annie Power's one of the most impressive hurdlers in a long time that I've seen.
And he was giving a weight, obviously, for Mayor's allowance.
Yeah. So that was a very, very impressive win. I didn't expect him to win that day, and I just think he'll probably improve again when he gets to around the festival time. I mean, John Joe's not having a great year this year, like I said earlier in the other video, but I mean, he usually comes good around the festival period. So I think more of that 5 to 1 is a nice enough price. It's about right, I think.
Yeah, I actually think No More Heroes doesn't have the pace to win an RSA, which can sometimes be a really stamina sapping race. But I think he's a National Hunt chase horse over 4 miles. I think all he does is stay. Andy?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, again, a lot will depend on the ground come the day. I know we've said that quite a few times, but more of that. Cheltenham win won twice at the track already before, hasn't it? World Hurdle winner as well. Back in 2014, so I'm firmly in the more of that camp. Geraghty will ride as well, won't he? So you can have every assistance from the saddle as well. So the other thing to note, I suppose, in this race, Mullins quite a good record in it as well, isn't he? He's won it 4 times in the past. So again, just have a quick look out for anything he runs as well.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, here's a question for you. I'm going to pose it to you. Would you prefer to back Min to win the Supreme Novices Hurdle, or Douvan to win the Arkle, at relatively sort of similar prices? We've talked about Min already. Douvan, I mean, we knew he was the real deal over hurdles as a novice, but I'm not totally convinced by him over fences. He's made some really silly mistakes, which he could pay for at Cheltenham.
Yeah, I mean, he's a course winner, isn't he? I mean, I know he hasn't won over fences at Cheltenham. He's 2 from 2 over the bigger obstacles, isn't he? And looking at the stats for the Arkle, I mean, 9 of the last 12 have won or been placed at a festival before. So, that's a big tick in favour of Douvan. If you want to take some negatives, I mean, it's not actually. I know Underso won it last year from the front, but it's actually quite a bad race for front runners, the Arkle as well. Okay. So Douvan has led in both its races over fences, hasn't it? So take that into account. Going back to your question, would you rather have Min or Douvan?
No, by the sounds of it.
It's a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah. They're short.
They've both got some sort of negatives against them, but I'd probably stick with Douvan just because it's one of the track before.
JJ?
I think they'll both win.
Oh right, okay. So
yeah.
Would you double them?
Yeah, I think they'll both win. I do think they'll both win, but I probably Douvan. Like you say, he's made a few big mistakes at the last in his chases so far, but other than that, I think his jumping has been pretty good overall. He absolutely destroyed them last time with Bob, whatever it's called, the weirdest named horse ever.
Who he's going to run against? I think is it this Sunday? It is. In the Arkle Novice Chases at Leopardstown, he's due to run against him again.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll be able to see whether he just there was something he missed that day, or Douvan put him under pressure and he just couldn't keep up. But yeah, I think they'll both win. I'll probably go for Douvan just because it's already run one at the festival and is more proven than Min. But I do think they'll both win.
Okay, now, let's talk about, before we talk about the Ryanair Chase, I'm intrigued to see if any of you were burnt. Were you severely burnt? Did you have second-degree burns when the 4-timer of Willie Mullins went down with Annie Power on the first day? And if you missed the wedding, do you go back for the funeral this time around? Because all the bookmakers are quoting for the 4-timer again. Min, Douvan, Faheen, Annie Power. And if the first 3 go in, do you cover your bet? Or do you hope Annie Power jumps the final flight okay? And where is the weakness in those 4? That's 17 questions all rolled into one, Andy. The average price bookmakers are offering around about 11.5 to 1 at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of totted them up the other day, and I got 11.7 to 1. So,
were you on last year?
Yeah, I was on, and I couldn't speak for about.
So between the second last and the last of the Mayor's Hurdle, were you doing a bit of Michael Owen? Were you doing a bit of that?
It was horrible, yeah.
Right.
And I think, for the first time ever, I don't get that emotional about stuff like that. My hands just not naturally just went like that in my head. Oh no! And,
did you cry?
No, it was just.
You definitely cried.
It was no. It was a bad moment, and there was people in the stands. Going, saying that it was a fix, and this, that, and the other, and just talking through their pocket.
Yeah.
She was just too brave, wasn't she?
Yeah, exactly. And going back to one of your zillion questions that you just posed to us, I think you've got to be on it. I think if it comes in, you'll sort of kick yourself that you're not.
Yeah.
So for the sake of even if it's a tenner or 20 quid, you know, at 10 to 1, just to say that you're on. You know, the prices are going to plummet if the first one, you know, goes in, if Mint goes in, and so on. So you know, you know, with the exchanges now, there's plenty of opportunities to trade out if the first one goes in anyway. So you might as well be, you know, amongst it and just get involved. I think
to get an exchange account through Easy Odds. I mean, I know a lot of you out there don't like exchanges either because maybe you don't understand it or you don't like the facility that you have to bet, win, place. You can back each way on the exchanges as well. But just if you're ever in that situation that you can trade out because you're in a strong position, have the facility of having an exchange account. Get it now through Easy Odds if you can, because it's the way to go, even if you're not going to use it on a daily basis. Are you a fan of this four-timer? Are you going to put your hard-earned on?
I'll definitely do it. I mean, you have to do it. I only had a tiny bet on it last year just because I thought, I mean...
You want to be involved?
Yeah, this looks like it should happen, but it probably won't, you know, that kind of thing. But...
are those realistic odds?
What, 11, 12?
11 half
It's
to
quite
1?
short, I think. I mean...
For 4 winners
yeah,
on one day. I know we're talking about Willie Mullins, one of the greatest trainers ever to grace the world of national racing, even though he's been given the ammunition, guys, right?
Yeah.
But it's 4 winners on one day of the Cheltenham Festival.
I think you've got to take each race you know, on its own merit and sort of split them down. I think you know, it does look quite daunting when you go 4 winners, you know, on the opening day. You know, there's only 7 races anyway, and he's got to win, you know, over half.
But it's realistic.
But if you, you know, if you drill them down, you know, Min, you know, what has it got to be? You know, Duvan, you know, Faheen, you know, is there really anything to challenge Faheen in the champion hurdle? So, you know, Annie Power, you know, would have won last year, wouldn't it? So when you do that, it is hard not to get involved. I mean, again, going back to the offers, I mean, it won't surprise me if some of the bookmakers try and inflate that.
Oh, really?
You know,
to get to open an account.
Just to open an account. And, you know, and again, going back to what you said about the exchanges, I mean, yes, they were quite daunting about 5-10 years ago when they first came out. But, you know, with the cash-out options now, they almost do it for you. You know, if the first couple go in, the exchange will you know, put it, they'll lay it down there. They'll go, right, cash out now if you want to. And it's up to you. You can cash out for some of it, take a bit of your stake back, let it ride. You know, you can do what you like, but you've got to be in it, I think.
I think it's probably less likely this year to come in than it was last year.
Really?
Yeah.
But you're still on?
I'll still be on, yeah. I think the one to least likely to win is Faheen. I'd probably go against Faheen.
Who's the least likely to win for you?
I think I'm the other way. I think I can't see anything beating Faheen. I just think it's a very sort of poor race after him in the champion hurdle. I don't know. I suppose you've got to go probably Annie Power again. I mean, again, there's on paper it should win, you know, by half the track.
But it's another year on, and we haven't seen her this season. And she could have deteriorated. There's some good mares out there this season, better than last year. Interesting. We should get these two in a boxing ring because they disagree with each other all the time. Whether you disagree with us, don't forget, of course, to use the Cheltenham app. It's available now for you to utilise all the different prices, all the different views, and some tremendous betting offers here on easyodds.com as well. Boys, let's move on to the Ryanair Chase. And the horse that this basically surrounds is Vautour. Willie, won't he run? If he does run, he's going to start 5-4, maybe odds on. On good ground, the likelihood is, from what we've heard from Willie Mullins, do you believe Willie Mullins? I don't know, that he's going to go for the Gold Cup. I mean, mixed views on this, JJ. What do you think is going to happen? I
think he'll probably go for the Ryanair, yeah. I think Willie Mullins...
He will?
I think he will. I don't think he'll put 2 of his top horses against each other in Cheltenham and Vautour. I think he'll want to win as many races as possible. It just seems like a perfect kind of Willie Mullins move. I think he's going to put him in the... His price is shortening all the time as well. I think he'll put him in the Ryanair and I think he'll win. I think the race is kind of made for him. I don't think he'll stay the Gold Cup trip either, and he'll definitely stay this far because he's done it before.
But the fact that Willie Mullins has never won a Gold Cup, he'll want as much ammunition there as possible. He has run more than 2 horses in a Gold Cup before, and the Ryanair Chase is seen as a consolation and not really up to the Grade 1 status it's granted. It's almost like a next best. I mean, we don't know what's going on in their heads behind closed doors, do we, boys? We've no idea. No, he stated, Andy, that the horse is still, all things being equal, is still going to run the Gold Cup.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and there's you know, again, we have to wait another couple of you know, month or 2 just to find out exactly. But you know, politics aside, if it was me and I owned the horse, you know, I'd be going down the Ryanair route. I just think that it just looked like it didn't quite get home, did it? At the King George last time, it looked to be stopping rather than cue card. You know, actually catching it. So for me, I think the Ryanair sort of tailor-made for it. You know, there's plenty of stats in its favour as well. You know, 16 of the last 21 winners, all runners-up, have won at the festival before as well. So, you know, that's a massive tick. On a negative, I mean, it's been a desperate race for the Irish, isn't it? I mean, they've never ever won the Ryanair.
Which is amazing, isn't it?
It is.
It's gobsmacked.
It is, because, you know, considering the amount of good sort of middle distance chasers they've got. You know, the King George has been a good guide in recent years as well. You know, obviously, you know, the favourite took part in that race as well. So, you know, for me, I'd be going down the Ryanair route, and really, you know, going back to the Mullins 4-timer. You know, if you put this one in as well, make it a 5-timer. Put Undersow in, make it a 6-timer. You know, do the maths quickly. I don't know what's that. 50, 60 to 1 if you put those two in as well. Gives you something to sort of look forward to on day 2 and day 3.
Okay, here's the question. You've both gone for Vittor if he runs in the race. If Vittor doesn't run in the Ryanair, who wins it? JJ?
Oh, I think Smad Place has quite a good chance if he's front runs rather than. I mean, I don't know what they're doing in King George. I don't know why they're holding on with that. They definitely should have front run that again, like they did in the Hennessy. I saw him in the Hennessy. It was really, really impressive. Yeah, maybe Smad Place, but I think if Vittor does run, then he will win. He's a lot better than the horses down the market.
Okay.
Yeah.
If he doesn't run, Vittor, who will win it, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, again, to be honest, I haven't really had a massive look at the others in behind. I know Smad Place is in there. I mean, if he does run, it'll like JJ said.
It'll be a lot shorter if Vittor. It'll start favourite.
It'll start favourite, and there's a good chance, you know, like I say, you know, we know it stays further than this, so they'll boot it out in the front and see if they can, you know, win it from the front and make use of its stamina. So we'll have to see. But yeah, for me, the favourite, I think.
We've got coming up our naps of the meeting and our big outsiders, but before that, 2 races I totally detest and wouldn't run if you gave me your money to back them with the bumper. And then there's the cross country, what I call a circus of a race in the middle of a very serious National Hunt Festival. But this man loves it. He's got some strange tastes, but you love the cross country.
I do, yeah.
And you've pinpointed what you think is a really big value double figure price horse.
Yeah, I think because the cross country is such a unique race, it's a bit like the same as the Grand National. I love the Grand National back on that as well because it's a unique race. There's certain traits and things that horses have that the other horses don't have, and I think Dagora, I mean, he's blown up a bit over normal chase races, but over cross country he has excellent form. I mean, at Cheltenham last time he fell when looking like he was staying on. He was going really well. It's around 16 to 1. It also ran in cross country at Punchestown where it fell as well. So, but I think if it stays up, it has a good chance. It's handicapped really well for 133. It's going to be receiving a lot of weight, and 16 to 1. Willie Mullins, Rich Ritchie. That's a big price, I think. Obviously, it will be the fairy tale story if Old Sir King wins after the horrific injury he suffered in the Grand National. But his form figures in cross country are run out first, second, first at Cheltenham. So he's got brilliant form figures. He's really good first time out as well. It's a bit different this time after that horrific injury, but he obviously stands a chance. And Joseph's Orders, the favourite, has been improved massively since he was getting a lot of weight first time, and then still won second time even when it was even weight. It's trained by Edna Bolger, who's obviously the master in these cross-country races. But I think Dagora at 16 to 1 each way is a nice little play.
Gentlemen, anything else to throw us for the other races, Andy? Anything you want to highlight?
I mean, yeah, going back to the cross-country, I mean, I know a lot of people have got mixed opinions on it. It's actually, I quite enjoy it as well, to be honest with you, the cross-country. So, you know, only because it generally does pretty much go to form. I mean, you know, course form, having run over that track before, does play a massive part in that race, and you know, it's an interesting outsider that JJ's put up.
Yeah.
You know, Josie's Orders obviously the one to beat.
Yeah.
And then what was the other race you were talking about, the bumper, wasn't it? Would you call it?
Yeah, no, it always used to be the preserve of the Irish, but last couple of years it hasn't been, very noticeably, because a lot of the Irish horses don't qualify for the race, because they run so late on in the season. Okay. So
yeah,
it's really interesting odds, isn't it? Who's going to be an English winner, a British winner, or an Irish winner?
I mean, you know, the reason I touched on that, I mean, at the moment it's 18-5 to the Irish in the sort of 23 run-ins that we've had of it. You know, everyone always goes on about the Mullins, you know, factor in this. You know, he's won it 8 times, but you know, recently he's only had 2 winners from his last 20 runners in the bumper. So you know, that stat, it's a little bit old now. You know, it's probably 5-6 years ago with the Mullins factor. So there might be some value on taking on. You know, some of his horses in the race are a lot shorter than they probably should be, just based on this sort of stat that sort of lingers around each year. So yeah, and the other massive thing, but you know, a lot of horses will fall into this bracket is 21 of the last 23 have won last time out. But as I say, that is probably going to be 80 or 90% of the field. Last year the Pipe Camp took it, didn't they, with Moon Racer. So you know, the English are starting to sort of hold their own against the Irish a little bit more in recent years.
It's amazing, isn't it? We go back all the way through the years and follow the fortunes and the career of Q Card when he won the race and what he's done since. It's amazing, and he is a definitive Cheltenham Festival stroke spring horse. We're coming to the end of our video cast, so I'm going to ask you anything else you want to mention, and I'm going to ask you for your best bet of the meeting, and maybe an outsider to throw away as well. Andy, what are you gonna bless us with?
Well, my banker of the meeting, if we've watched the previous videos on the 4 championship races, you might have got a bit of an inkling into this. Is Thistlecrack in the World Hurdle here. I just think that there's just nothing else much in the race this year. It's a bit of a one-horse race. Seems to have improved sort of leaps and bounds this year, hasn't it? And depending on what happens in the Cleve Hurdle, which it'll be running in on the 30th, the trials day at Cheltenham, I just think that there's not a lot else in the race to take it on. That's going to be my banker.
Have you got a big outsider, or are you going to wait to nearer the time?
I think I'm going to wait to nearer the time, but I mean, it's a little bit contradictory, but the new one in the World Hurdle as well, I'm probably going to have a little bit of a savour on that, around 14, 16 to 1.
Do you think it'll definitely run? No.
Well, again, I mean, a lot of the bookies are going non-run, no bet in the championship races, so you've got that sort of safety net, that security at the moment. If it doesn't, you get your money back anyway. So I just think it's a good price. We know it loves the track, and it wasn't beaten that far behind Fahim, was it, in the Christmas Hurdle last time? So
JJ,
my banker is pretty easy to guess. Don Cossack in the Gold Cup. I think his form stacks up unbelievably. He would have won the King George if he stayed up. Lots of different things that you can see in the other video in the 4 championship race video.
You going win or each way?
Win. All of my money on win.
All of it.
All of my money that I
Savings.
have. Savings.
Mattress.
Everything.
The lot.
Everything. Food, money, anything.
I hope your other half is listening to this. She might not be eating for a year after the Cheltenham Festival. And your outsider. I mean, there's so many choices you can choose for your outsider.
I've got a few good outsiders.
No, throw them all our way.
Dewar, like I just said, in the
16s,
16s. I like Modus at 25 to 1 in the Supreme. Another one for a bit of place money that I mentioned before was
Vroom
Vroom Mag. Yeah, that's a decent price for the World Hurdle. I've got so many outsiders I can't really. Godzone, 33s for the Champion Chase. A lot, another horse that I just want to keep my eye on is if the Druid's Nephew runs at the festival. Obviously, it won last year in the
3-mile
handicap chase, and he's a much better horse on good ground, like a lot of the Neil Mulholland horses. He won I think he'll go in the same race as this year. He's being priced up for it anyway. He's £9 high now, but he won that really well, quite easily. I think the plan is to go for the national again, but I think he'll probably run him in this as well. So 20 to 1 looks quite a nice price, and if he does run, it will be shorter than that.
Okay, I'm not going to go for a banker because I don't believe there's such a thing in the Cheltenham Festival, but I'm going to go for an outsider, which I think a lot of people have forgotten about because Mullins has got so many great horses. I think there's a horse called Outlander who's massively forgotten, who was very well back to win the Neptune Hurdle last year, but they went so slowly out in front he had no chance. He's been really impressive in the races he's won over the bigger fences. He could possibly run the JLT, but I think he's an RSA horse, and he's still a double-figure price. He's huge. Wait till they go non-run and no bet in all the Cheltenham races and back Outlander each way, and you should get a run in whichever race he runs in. Which brings to an end our Cheltenham Festival videocast. Don't forget to keep an eye on the easyodds.com site as a whole, but also on the Cheltenham app, which is up and running here at easyodds.com. We'll be back with an update videocast round about the end of February, so we'll speak to you then, and all the best.